Wait. Hello.
Hello. How's everybody tonight? Welcome to another episode of How Would You Slice That with me, Lawrence Nightingale, and my partner in crime, Vicky Soma. For you who have not watched recently, How Would You Slice That is a 3D print podcast for 3D printing enthusiasts, where we bring members of the community in to talk about their practice of 3D printing and how we can pick up some of their tips and tricks and show off all the wonderful things that are happening in the world of 3D printing. And as I said before, as always, I have the amazing Vicky Soma here with us tonight. How are you today, Vicky?
I am doing great, actually. So our last episode on December 23rd, I had a little bit of cough, and that turned into a big cough. But now I'm back to 100%.
You know, I think that you have really influenced me with that cough on December the 23rd. I did go and get a flu shot and a COVID booster after that. I said I want none of that. So knock on wood, been okay so far. So yeah. And so of course there's been snow in our area. We got something in the order of 10 inches of snow. It's 10 inches of ice really is what it was.
Yeah. So the local news agencies, Lawrence and I are both in the Northern Virginia area. And so we got snow, and then we got sleet, and then we got ice, and then it all froze. So people have been calling it snowcrete, and it is like as hard as concrete. It's been quite a lot of elbow grease to get rid of the ice.
And in our region, well, just for a second, in our region, you know, usually it snows and then it's 40 degrees, 50 degrees the next day, and it's gone in a couple of days. Oh wow, that was a whole lot of snow, and then we're all walking around, but the ice and the snow is still very much around. Did you wind up 3D printing any snow related items?
No, I have been focused on Hedamame parts because some people have like pampered chef parties, or some people have Tupperware parties. And my family, we're going to do a Hedamame build party. Thanks in part to Printed Solid had a sale like around Christmas. So we bought a bunch of kits, and all of the children have picked out their different designs. So we've been printing up a storm, just stockpiling the parts. Actually, I will throw a picture up. There we go. So that's just a bunch of the parts. And then we started getting some children have different needs. And so we're also doing I brought it in Blender, and I was playing with displace maps to try to add a texture to it. We're aiming for it to look like chainmail, and I think we fell short on that, but it still looks pretty cool, and the wearer likes it. And so we just have one last Hedamame cones to print, and I'm trying to do mine in color. I'm a hiker, and so I really like my trifecta flora that I love from the Appalachian Trail are rhododendrons, flame azaleas, and mountain laurel. And in my office, I already have like a 3D printed heart out of rhododendrons, and I have some azaleas that were made by Lauren from A Buzz Design. So I was hoping to make my my Hedamame cones themed on mountain laurel. So I'm trying to do like a little color design, like these are their open flowers, and these flowers are their closed flowers. So I finished this. This is through Blender and UV maps, image maps, and stuff like that. And I finished it, and I went to go start the print, and I realized I didn't have enough green. So I have some. I'm waiting on an order from Printed Solid, and then we should be building this weekend, I think.
Off to the races. That's wonderful. Yeah. You know, speaking of flowers, I started getting into growing orchids indoors maybe about a year or two ago. And I printed two orchid vases. And they're working out pretty good. I did want to try something different. Wanted to try to see if I couldn't bring two of my interests together. It's working out pretty well. So, but a little bit more functional than decorative, which I like. I like your design there. It's really nice.
Oh, nice. And you kind of gave me a segue to our guest tonight, who also has some collection of vases that
Yes.
you can download and peruse and print. So you ready for me to go for it?
I want. Can I share one other story?
Oh, yeah.
One other, yeah,
Yeah,
one
sure,
other
of
story.
course.
So I got struck by lightning. Not actually struck by lightning, but I was able to get 2 new printers for our 3D printing lab on campus. I work at a community college up here in Northern Virginia, and we got 2 P1Ss. And so, because of the way security works in the world nowadays, we have to try to operate them in LAN mode, local access network only mode. And Bamboo, it naturally occurs. It not naturally occurs. It's very much designed to be interconnected with Maker World and sending files and sending them back, and all that stuff had to get cut out. And what's really so that it gave me some challenges with the network for about a week. Because the P1S only operates on 2.4 megahertz. Everybody else is 5 megahertz. So I had to get a special router designation. Then I had to do it in local access network mode. And I found that the Bamboo units are working in local access mode. I didn't do that at my house, but they're actually working. I can control both of them. Got 2 brand new printers, and so we're going to be moving into small scale. The concept of small scale production and manufacturing in our lab, and really get serious on campus. So I'm really had a pretty big week around
awesome.
3D printing for our students and everything. So yeah, that's the big story for me for this week. And of course we will print vases because the bearded printer is here. So tell us more about that.
Oh, you spoiled. Well, everybody knows. Everybody already knows. Okay. So there are a lot of options out there for 3D printing and software, like your modeling and your slicing, and finding the right tool for you and your mindset and your processes. It can make a vast difference in your experience. And so, if you're new to 3D printing, if you don't like your 3D printer, it doesn't mean that 3D printing is not for you. It might just be you're not working with the right 3D printer or not working with the right modeling software for you. And our guest tonight, who's bearded printer, he learned that firsthand. So his first early 3D printing experiences were a bit bumpy and frustrating. And in fact, his very first print, the nozzle did that classic digging into the bed.
No.
Yeah. But with time and research, he found different printers and different tools, and his experience changed dramatically. And so today he is a well-proven 3D designer. He's won prizes in the weekly leagues from Thangs. He's been highlighted in Pez Liz's Meet Designer series and was profiled by All 3DP. And then between printables and Thangs and Maker World, his 3D models and his printer profiles have been downloaded 435,000 times, or over 435,000 times. And so that's like closing in on 500,000 downloads.
Amazing.
So he has a special fancy for floppy articulated designs. But he's also done prints for the home, including vases or something like a functional anesthetic, like a Lighthouse lamp. And also if you went to 3D Printopia, you know that he's not afraid to go large. He brought with him, and we found out this was through air travel, but he brought with him a 1,300% scale dummy 13 doll, which was live size. So we are welcoming bearded printer. Hello.
Hello. You made me sound way better than I am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Are there any addendums or corrections or anything to the intro?
Just that I have a massive ego, so I appreciate you adding to that.
Okay.
Well, happy to do it. Happy to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Oh, you go.
No, I was just saying, yeah, that dummy 13, I fit everything in 2 suitcases and a carry-on. So everything from my booth, dummy 13, and my clothes, toiletries, everything had to fit in 2 bags and a carry-on and a personal item. It was quite the event, and I don't know if I want to try that again.
If you had to cut, yeah, I wonder what you would have cut if you had to cut some things.
I would just buy new clothes. Just bring the 3D printed stuff. I'll buy new clothes when I get there.
There you go.
Almost like the people. Have you had people who would travel to Europe with an empty suitcase, and then when they came home, like everything they bought along the way?
Right. Yeah. If only I had that money, though.
Well, do I call you Bearded?
So I go by several names. You can call me Beardy if you don't want to say Bearded Printer. Some people say Bearded. You can call me Eric. My name is Eric, and I'll just answer to all of those.
I like the Beardy.
Okay, well, we'll work with Beardy tonight. How's that?
All right, sounds great.
Good. So Beardy, tell us about your experience with design software and different ways that you got things out. And
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first got into 3D printing, my goal was to be able to create custom brackets or adapters or tools because I was into just making things, and I was doing some woodworking stuff, and I thought, well, it would be nice if I could just make my own. And so that's when I ordered my first 3D printer, but I'm cheap. So I bought the cheapest one I could find, which was fun. But when I first started designing, I took up Tinkercad. I actually started on Tinkercad doing various designs. And then when I eventually upgraded, I got an Elegoo Neptune 4 Pro. And when I saw that 3D printers could actually produce good quality prints, I was like, oh, maybe I could sell these, because that's what anyone says. As soon as they see the first print come off, they're like, I can sell this.
Yes.
But again, I'm cheap, so I didn't want to pay for licensing. Fix him, dude. I didn't want to pay for licensing, so I started modeling my own stuff, and that's when I took up Fusion. Autodesk Fusion. It was Fusion at 360 at the time, but eventually it has changed to just be Fusion, and they have a free version. So I just started modeling in Fusion, and me being stubborn, I didn't look up any tutorials on how to use it. So I was just banging my head against the wall, and then eventually I started like Googling how to do things, and so that's kind of where I transitioned. And then since then, I've also transitioned into using Nomad Sculpt for more organic stuff too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so what was when you were using Fusion 360 and now of course Fusion, and were at that time, were you publishing your designs, or were you still just using personal use? When did you find your first opportunity to really be notable for your designs?
So it was actually after I designed something for my Elegoo Neptune 4 Pro. I designed a little mount to be able to mount a camera to it. And I thought, people might want these. So I uploaded it. And I didn't plan on making any money out of it. So I just uploaded it. That was, I think, my first uploaded design to printables. And then since then, any design I made, I would often have what is, writer's block, so to speak, modeling. I wouldn't know what to model. And Printables has these contests they would have, like either flash contests or just month-long contests, like either for Valentine's Day or for,
I think they have a
holiday.
Valentine's Day contest going on right now.
Yeah. And so I would design for those contests, and the designs weren't very good. Well, let's be honest. They weren't very good, but I was just learning how to model in Fusion. And so a lot of the models took a long time to make, and they were not very good, but I would still upload them because, hey, it's practice.
Yes.
And then eventually I got a little bit better, and things started clicking. And then about 6 or 7 months in is when the first model that was popular hit, that I uploaded, and I got a ton of downloads for. I'm like, hey, people actually like what I'm doing. So that was nice. And that kind of carried me over into doing more stuff.
Wow. That's great.
Also, I believe I heard on the Peslis show, you had some experience where you were selling the physical 3D prints for a while.
Yes. Because my initial goal when I started designing was to sell prints. And so I've actually gone to a couple vendor events and signed up for like 2 or 3 events. And I just quickly found it wasn't for me. Like, it was fun to see people's reaction to my models in physical form and touching them and fidgeting with them. But it was a lot of work, and I did not have the time to. I have a full-time job. I'm 3D modeling, and then I'm also doing these events. It was too much for me.
And you have children too.
Yeah, I have children. I try to lead a balanced life, unsuccessfully, of course, but I try. And the last event I did, it was in the middle of July. I showed up early to set up, and then by the time I took down, it was like a 13-hour day.
Wow.
And with how much I sold, I added it up to be about $17 an hour. And if I were to pay myself, I'm like, that's not a lot of money for that much. And it was in the middle of July, so I was like drenched in sweat the whole day, and I was like going through Gatorades like nothing. And that was the day that I was like, maybe I don't want to do this anymore.
I think she was okay. But I did a show in the heat once, and an elderly lady projectile vomited right behind my booth. And
oh no!
Had to get medical attention and everything.
Yeah. Fortunately, my wife, because I went through all the Gatorades that I brought, not knowing how hot it would be, and my wife came midday to allow me to have a bathroom break, and she brought more Gatorades and stuff. But it was, you don't want to. That's rough.
It's
that was a flop.
Yeah.
Right.
So Pez Liz said in the chat that because Bearded Printer does a lot of the floppy designs, and he was talking about that event. She said you could say the event was floppy.
Floppy indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, and on the subject of floppy designs, I got a real big kick that you did a floppy disk.
Yeah. I have 4 of them somewhere, and I think I put them away, but I have floppy disks. Yes.
Wow. And so now, how did you? I mean, so you started designing in Fusion, and you were doing some sales and stuff like that. And and looking through your profiles on Maker World, I can definitely tell that you do timely types of designs. Other designers that we've talked to really kind of have a channel that they're going through. So how is it that you find yourself doing different things, different themes for your designs?
I get bored. That's the short answer. But the truth is I have a lot of interest in other things. And sometimes my wife will say, hey, is there a way you can design something like this? Because she has a lot of awesome ideas. And I'll think, oh, that's a great idea. And I'll design it, and it won't be anything close to what I've designed before, but I'll still release it because I'm sure people will like it. But honestly, sometimes I reach burnout, like, oh, I'm doing the same thing over and over. Like after I designed my first dragon and it took off, I was like, oh, cool. I guess I'm designing dragons now. And I designed like 4 or 5. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'm done with dragons. I can't be a dragon guy, because there are people that upload week after week on things. The next dragon, and I'm just like, how are you still doing this? I get so bored. So I had to move on to the next thing. And then eventually I got onto floppies, which that's the floppy disk. But the first floppy I did was a flounder. And it was around the time I was still doing just flexy things. Like I did the dragons.
Yes.
And then she's like, well, I want a flounder. She loves sea life. And so I was like, oh, I could do a fish, but I feel like it would look weird being flexy the way other flexies are. And I know the STL Flex has their Ray. They don't call it floppy. I just call it floppy because I feel like it's flexy on steroids. Yeah, the floppy flounder. And that was my first floppy design. And that was quite the challenge because I had no idea what I was doing. And I was banging my head against the wall a lot trying to get the overall shape to work with all the mesh. And I was really upset because I thought it was a really cool design, but nobody was downloading it. And that's when I realized I needed to get social media, because I didn't have a social media day. I didn't have Twitter, Instagram. I mean, I had a personal Facebook, but I almost never logged on. And so I was like, well, I guess I better start getting social media so people are more aware of things I upload. So
wow,
And now it's
that
been
was the
downloaded
start.
3,000 times.
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
people love it.
Yeah, it's really cute. That's I mean, I shouldn't use that word, but
It is cute.
Yeah.
I
And
was
that was
going
the
for
challenge,
cute.
right?
Yeah. Well, I needed some inspiration on how to make it cute. And if you Google cute flounder, there is no image that pulls up where the flounder is actually cute. And so I had to really use my imagination. Like, how do I make this cute? I have no idea. So just put two eyes and a smiley face on a general shape. That worked.
It worked really well. It worked really well. And so, one thing that I noticed about you'd shown us one of your prints from earlier, and you produced them in parts, and the parts can be represent different colors. How'd you get to that point? A lot of the designs that are out there, you download it, and the end user is the one that's coloring the different sections themselves.
Yeah. I don't know how I got to the point where I knew that you could just color different objects, different colors in the slicer. But at one point, it just clicked in my head that, if I export a model in different parts and just upload it just like that into the slicer, but, as a single object, things will be in space where however you export it. So if you have an object in Fusion where you have an object here and here, and you export this individually from this, it actually saves it in 3-dimensional space where it is. So if you load both of those into the slicer and say this is a single object, this will be in air over the build plate over this. And realizing that, I realized it could be so much easier to paint models if you just export individual parts for each color. And then when you import it into the slicer, you import it as a single object. You select all the files, import it as a single object. And then in the slicer, you can go to your objects and then select each object and choose what color. And I can actually demo that for you.
Sounds like a good segue for a
demo. Yeah, let's do some demos. Okay.
Let me get you full screen here. There you go.
Okay. So, for example, I have a floppy Rocky Mountain Upright Festival model that I just finished designing, and I have these individual objects. So I have black, blue, bottom, red, and white. And when I open this, now it's going to take a little bit because it's a big model. There's a lot of geometry, but when it's done loading them, it's going to ask me, do you want to load these as a single object? And that's where you want to say yes, because if you say no, something weird happens. Everything goes to the floor because it's going to think that every object in there is its own separate thing. So I'm going to hit yes here. Let it load. It's quite big, so it does take some time. There we go. Right. So it's a big floppy object, but it's all white, and I need to paint it. So I can go over here to objects, and then I can click on black, and you can click on this and then choose a color. So if I click this and choose 2, it'll paint it all black, but you could also click on this and on your keyboard hit 3. And that changes it to 3. The bottom, I also want black, so I'm going to hit 2. For this one, I'm going to hit 4. And for this one, it's already 1. So each of these number corresponds to, a color. So you could just hit that number on your keyboard, and now there you go. It's painted.
It never, ever
so you
occurred
have
to
a
me
painted
that there would
model
be
you can
keyboard
send.
shortcuts.
Wow. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So if you upload it in separate parts, this is what happens if you hit no. Select all these. Wait again. And if you hit no, it'll assume every file you chose is going to be its own individual object. So everything goes to the floor. So I'm going to hit no here. And it'll load here, and initially it'll look like it loaded correctly, but you'll see quickly that that's not the case. Okay, so now I'm going to drag this around, and now we got stuff over here. All this stuff is on the floor, and that's not really printable. Whereas this one, it's all one object.
Wow. And
so it saves it in 3-dimensional space.
Wow. And you have you've embedded those objects to sit on top and have no space in between and things of that nature as well.
Yeah,
so,
this is exactly how it is in the slice in the Infusion. So in Fusion, this would be an air. And I can actually pull it up here to show you. I think it's broken. It's been thinking for a while. Anyway, we'll skip that. But in Fusion, you can make various objects invisible. And if you made the black part invisible, you'd see the red part just floating in air.
Gotcha. Wow.
So,
that's great. That's great. Wow. And so you know, when you spoke about individual objects and, you know, and we're able to manipulate colors that way. What other kinds of manipulations have you done with individual objects in your practice, in your 3D printing?
I've actually, so in more complicated ones, like my lamp houses or lighthouses, there are some times where an individual object might require different settings. So for example, let's just bring this over here. I can actually, you know, with objects selected, I can go here and choose specific print settings for just this object. So if I want this object to be 100% infill, I can do that. And just this object will be 100%, but then everything else will be the generic, you know, 15% infill.
My goodness. And printed simultaneously that way.
Yes.
And Hedamame uses that in there. They have pre-sliced profiles. They have profiles for their cones and stuff like that, where they'll have a separate object inside just to have like the specific 11% honeycomb, or no, the gyroid infill for acoustics.
Yeah, it's actually pretty common. I did some 3D printed shoes where when you imported it, or you opened the 3MF file, it was somewhat like this. This isn't what the shoes looked like, but it was in this format where you had various parts of the shoe right here. And each part, they had different settings. Like they would have 0 walls in some of them so that it would look like fabric. So they would have different percentages of gyroid infill with no walls, so it would be breathable and look like fabric. And in other places, it would be solid. So it's a pretty common practice for something like this. So I can, even on this one, I can say, oh, I want the blue to be 100% infill, but everything else to be 15%. You know, you can just do it on individual objects within the hierarchy here. So yeah, it's pretty helpful.
Thank you for sharing that, because I was under the impression that different processes were reserved for things that would be printed one object at a time. But what you're saying is that does layer height is layer height included in the ability to manipulate? Really?
Yep. So one of my models that I've designed recently is I have this flower pen that requires this shaft be printed in 2 pieces. So we'll open this up and I'll hit no because I don't want it to be a single part. Okay. So I have these here and I'm going to remove these because this is taking up a lot of computation just to have them in there. So I can do this quickly. So we have those, but let's also add this rose here. So I'm going to add this rose. Now, slicers used to not be able to do this, but slicers have gotten really powerful. So with this one, I can use variable layer height, and you can just click on adaptive, and you have these, you know, these bars that you can choose to determine how big of a radius you want it to be. So I can have it bigger or smaller here, or, you know, change the quality there. But I usually keep these at the default, and I'll smooth it out So after I click on adaptive, I'll choose smooth. So, because sometimes you can see physically where it changes the layer height. And so by smoothing it out, it doesn't do that. And in this case, this one isn't adaptive, but this one is. And I can slice this and it'll work. Now, there are some support types that don't support variable layer height. I think organic / tree supports does not support. If there's any objects with variable layer heights there, it won't allow you to do organic supports. But you can see here, if you look closely, the way the layers are on this one is different from this one. This one is a lot more gradual and smooth as it goes towards the top, and this one isn't. But it's on the same print, same as this one. So you can, on the same print bed, you can choose to have variable layer height on some objects, but not on others. Like this one doesn't really matter to me if it has variable layer height, but this one does because it makes it look a little bit better with the orientation it's printed. So
nice.
The and variable layer height. I was one of those people that was printing with a 0.8 millimeter nozzle for a while, and so I've always used adaptive layer height or considered adaptive layer height for speed. If you're trying to print something that's pretty tall.
If you look over here to the right, it'll actually show you, going towards the top what the layer height is, and you can see at the bottom that's 0.23 millimeter layer, but then you get towards the top, it's almost 0.1.
Wow.
And so it'll adjust it on the way up depending on the angle that it's printing, how steep it is, and what the layer height should be. So that definitely improves the speed. So you can get the fidelity of shorter layers where it matters, but where it doesn't matter, it's bigger layers. So it can be a faster print.
Wow. Okay. Well, and so now, how'd you discover that this is one of the things that we're able to do with the slicers now?
Just goofing off. I feel like with whatever software I use, sometimes I'll just spend time to kind of explore to see what things do. Like we've got fuzzy skin painting. So if there's just one part of this that I want to have fuzzy skin, I could do that. You just kind of goof off and you're like, oh, I didn't know this could happen, or, oh, this looks neat. So I think it just comes with experience that as you're doing it more, you become more aware of what's available to you. And you even get to a point where you're like, oh, I wonder if there's a way I could do this. And you Google it and then someone's done it. And you're like, oh, cool. That's a way I could do that. So, yeah.
And keeping a curiosity, but just like, hey, what's this do?
Yeah. I feel like you rarely get to a point where there's nothing. I feel like you never get to a point where there's nothing you can learn. Like there's always something you can learn from someone. So even though I feel like I'm fairly knowledgeable with Fusion, I'm always open to what other people can teach me and show me, because I know there's still a ton that I don't know about it. So I can keep learning.
Now that you've learned to watch tutorials and not bang your head against the wall.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that, because when I got my first printer, I only knew printers existed. I never watched any videos on 3D printing. I never read any blogs or anything about what to do with the 3D printer. I just set it up and I hit go. I'm like, gee, I wonder what this is going to do. And then I learned quickly, oh, you should probably level your build plate and set your Z offset. And there's all this other stuff that I had no idea was a thing. And I had to figure it out the hard way. And when I got my first clog, I was like, how do I deal with this? Because I didn't know there were like specific things you can use to unclog your nozzle. I just removed the nozzle and I took a torch to it to melt the plastic out. And that worked. But I learned the hard way to not look at instructions. So now I know when I get anything new, oh, there's probably information out there that I should know about this. I'm going to look it up, because I've suffered by not doing that.
Well, that's the learning process. We do learn through miscalculations, and there are also great discoveries that we make because of mistakes as well. So that's just a testament to your ability to kind of adapt and move things forward. And so, you showed us the Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival flag there, but Vicki tells me that you've got some things that are a little more timely.
Ooh, wait, real quick.
Oh.
Just, while we're talking about the Rocky Mountain Rip-Up Festival, just want to remind people it is on April 18th and 19th this year in Loveland, Colorado. So get your ticket.
Yep.
And they're also looking for volunteers. And I know firsthand from 3D Printopia that volunteers are just, they're just indispensable to these types of events. So if it's something that you have a few spare hours, consider signing up to volunteer for any of the events.
Yep.
It's very good advice. Yeah.
Yep.
You're talking about Valentine's Day? Is that what you're talking about?
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, you got some. Oh, okay.
So this is one of the ideas that my wife gave me. Is she was thinking about a flower that you could put a pen in. She's like, this would be a good idea. I'm like, you are absolutely right. So that's how this was born. And all it takes is a regular Bic. Just slide it in there.
Oh, okay.
And that's the model we were seeing with the variable printer height, right?
Yeah, yeah. This one has the variable layer height for the shaft there. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Like it's not even glued. You just put these two pieces together. You slide this on. You slide your pen in. And then you screw on whatever flower you want. Right now I have two. I have a daisy and a rose, but who knows? In the future, I could make more.
Mountain laurel. You don't have mountain laurel.
Maybe that'll be the next one. Maybe chrysanthemum will be the next one. Who knows? And then this was just another model that I had designed. My wife wanted to print a bunch for teachers. She's a retired teacher, and she has a soft spot for education and stuff. So she knows how difficult students and parents can be. And she's like, I want to do something nice for them. So she told me to print 5 of these for various teachers and helpers in my son's class. So
nice.
Yeah, that's a really nice gift and unique.
Yeah.
And custom.
Yeah, that's what I like about being able to model things is you think of something that you can give someone that nobody else can give them. If you model it and you print it, nobody else has access to that, and you can just give it to them. And it's even more special. Even though you didn't do work printing it, you did the work designing it, and it's very special to them. So, and then this is another one. I have very creative names for my model. This one's Vase 003. I think this one's Vase 002.
And it looks like you started out with a geometric design and then you extruded it up and twisted it.
Yeah, I used what's called lofting. So with a loft, you'll see at the bottom, it's an actual circle. And then I lofted up to and what a loft is it goes from one shape to another gradually. And so I just had another shape up here with all these squiggles, and I did a loft from there to here. And then I did another loft up here and so forth. And I did the same with this one to get that twisty motion.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. And so
do you have the heart base too?
I do. It's right here. I have 2 versions of it. I have a twisted one and I have a non-twisted one. So here's the twisted one. You can see the profile is a heart.
Yeah.
And it just twists up from the bottom. So the bottom is a heart too, and it twists. And then this one's just a straight version.
Oh.
That just goes straight up. I have a heart bowl, but that was gifted to someone already. I struggle to know what to do with all my models after I print them, because I have to print them to take a picture of them, and then I don't know what to do with them after. Yeah. So we give a lot of them away to friends and family.
Wow. Well, I mean,
I do. I have a picture of the heart bowl. So.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Beautiful. That one was actually an accident. I was actually designing this and trying to figure out a way to do the bottom differently, and that happened. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not what I want to do. So I undid it. And someone in my stream was like, no, bring that back. I want it. So I was like, all right. Well, here you go.
Awesome. Well, yeah, listen to your audience, I guess. Your audience is sizable. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That is great. And so how many other Valentine's Day types of things do you have?
So we have the floppy heart, and I think Vicky has.
Oh, I got one.
Has a small floppy heart.
I have 4 of them now.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year we printed a bunch of them, and I think I printed a bunch more this year as well. So the floppy heart is a pretty popular one. And I can't remember what else. Yeah, I can't remember what else I have. I printed a lamp, but that's not really Valentine's Day like.
Just
yeah,
floppy
heart.
I thought the back looked so cool too.
Oh, it does. It
really
looks fantastic.
I was just about to ask if there's different ways that you can do the floppy kind of physical properties, but not use the squares, because most everything that I see that's floppy is using squares, and now I see you got a chainmail thing here.
Yeah, some people will do hexagon type design. I think NASA fabric, and it prints the other way around. This one, the fabric prints face down, whereas I think NASA fabric, the front prints face down, and then it like curls up. So there are other various designs that people have done that aren't as square, but I haven't really done them.
When you when you take on a new floppy project, now that you've done so many of them, how long does it take you to turn around the design?
I have it somewhat streamlined to where I know exactly what I need to do, and you have experience where in the early floppy designs you would print it and you would realize something didn't quite turn out, like an edge piece. And so with that experience, now when I do floppies, I can look at something and just know, oh, this is going to have this effect when I print it, so I need to fix that. And so that helps a lot with the floppy design. So I have it somewhat streamlined, and even the little, like the individual piece, I just have it saved as a step file. So I could just import that into whatever I'm going to make floppy, create my pattern so it covers whatever I'm making floppy. And then I do a combine, which is an intersect. So anywhere where there's a floppy piece and the organic piece will stay, but everything else gets, removed. And that's the real easy part. The harder part is you'll end up with a lot of floaty bits that you have to kind of clean up in the floppy models.
Wow. Yeah, and I can see how that'd be very time consuming.
It can be. The cleanup is very tedious and time consuming, depending on the model, how big the model is. So, yeah. And I have this here. I've got a floppy maker chip. I'm not going to show you the front because I don't want anyone to see it until they come to Rocky Mountain. But
okay.
I got a floppy maker chip here that it took some effort to get right, but I think we have it here. Awesome.
Well, I mean, it sounds like we might have to have you come back so you can show us how to make one of those for East Coast.
Oh yeah, we can definitely do that.
You haven't showed us how to make them originally, so everything continues to evolve. We definitely need to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And during my streams, and I don't know if anyone knows this, I stream on Twitch a couple times a week doing my modeling. So if you want to see my process. Today we were working on a floppy model, floppy guitar fish, and we did the initial design work of that. We need to do some cleanup, which we will continue on another stream.
Wow. Oh, I see. And so you share your design process with the community, and people have you seen anybody using your techniques that you can pick up on that have published things, or no?
Yeah. I've seen other designs out in the wild. I haven't seen people doing the modeling, but on things and on printables, I've seen other people that have the floppy models that they've uploaded, and I think they're pretty good. Wow. I welcome other people to do it because I think it's the next step of flexi that people are doing.
Yes.
Oh yeah. See, I have a VOD up on YouTube of me working on one. This one was a struggle because I screwed up during one of the steps and it really made my life difficult.
I think the beginning of this video even started with a little just text, like, you're going to watch me struggle.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so do you do very much, do you work exclusively in PLA, or do you use other materials in your 3D printing?
I do mostly do PLA, but that's mostly because everything I do is just kind of fidgety and not functional. I do have ASA and PETG and and I have polycarbonate and not a ton of the other filaments, but if I need something functional, I want to be able to use a filament that's functional. You can see right here, I have these hangers that are holding these spools here.
Yes.
On the other side of this rack is where my XL is, and there isn't enough space to hang the filament spools on the other side of the XL. So I wanted to create these hangers so they can hang above and still be able to feed into that side of the XL. And these, you'd want to print these in like PETG or something more durable, because over time the PLA will like sag or So even though everything I upload, most of the stuff I upload is somewhat fidgety and not very functional, I still make functional things for around the house. And most of it is just so niche to my situation that I don't feel like it really merits being uploaded. But in some cases I'm like, enough people might want this, so I'll still upload it. Like my camera is mounted to the wall, but I use that camera for photography. So I wanted a quick release mechanism on it, but it needs to be mounted to the wall. So I did a design where something could be mounted to the wall where I could just put my camera in and latch it in, and then I could just unlatch it and remove it if I wanted to. And that I did upload. And I don't plan on getting a ton of uploads or a ton of downloads for that, because it's not a lot of people know that I do that stuff. That's not my niche, but it's there. In case someone comes across it, they can download it.
I started 3D printing in 2015, I think is when I got my own printer. And I just started using the PETG like recently for the head of mommy, for the string.
Wow.
Nice.
I want to serve my children and my niece. I want to make sure that they have headphones that aren't going to break.
That's awesome.
you want PETG for the band at least. And
the band and the clips were recommended.
Yeah, because otherwise PLA experiences what's called creep, where if it's under stress constantly, it'll actually adapt to like match whatever it's stressed to. So PLA is not very good for this band. You want something that's like more springy and durable. So that's where you want PETG.
Return to its original shape.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
So you go.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Vicky. You got
Mine's a complete pivot, so you go.
The only question I had really was about all the models that you've made. We can tell our audience to go print something. What's your favorite model that you got out there right now?
Oh, that's a good question. Hold on. Let me pull up my models, because I don't remember all my models. So one of my favorites is my floppy dragon and my fat floppy dragon. And that one is, that one was the second floppy I made. And that was also a suggestion from my wife. And it just turned out great. Everyone loves it. Fat floppy dragon. But if you're not into flexies, there is a functional model that I'm quite proud of, and that's my Dungeon Master tome. I don't have an example of it with me, but it's for tabletop gaming or Dungeons and Dragons or whatever you want to play.
I think I have it.
Yeah.
This one, right?
Yeah, that's it. So that one took quite a bit to get designed right. That one was a commission it was a commission from a friend of ours. And she wanted to prepare for Christmas, and she told me, she wants a book that opens that you can store stuff for tabletop gaming. I'm like, well, there's already stuff out there for that. But as she was giving me the parameters that she needed, I was like, that's going to be big. Because I was initially thinking Clock Spring's tome, like he has a print in place tome. And I was like, well, why don't we just print that for you? I mean, that'll work. But she's like, it needs to be big. And the way I was envisioning it, I wanted the binding to be curved. And that made it difficult to be able to, I wanted it to look good from the front and from the side and to still open. So a lot of challenge went into making the hinge mechanism. And the way I made the hinge mechanism was very similar to how a kitchen cabinet opens. If you look at a kitchen cabinet, you don't see the hinges on the outside. It's flush against I think it's called a carcass, the framing of the cabinet. And when it opens, it kind of opens out. And I wanted to do the same thing with the book. And so I went through so many iterations of trial and error of getting that hinge just right. And then that's the result that you get, that Dungeon Master tome.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for that. And then one other question, and Vicky, this is the last one, I promise.
Oh no, it's fine.
How do you like you've got vases out there in the world? So do you have a recommended setting for actual waterproof vases that are 3D printed?
I don't. But what I would recommend, if you were going to try it, is increase the wall count and slow down your print speed so that the plastic has more time to heat up the layer below it as it's melting to get a better seal. So I would initially recommend trying those settings. I know Polymaker has a polysmooth filament that it smoothes with isopropyl alcohol. You could try printing it with that and smoothing it out. And that I feel like would have a better chance of sealing any gaps that might occur during the print process, so that it could be used with water.
Okay.
Those are my initial recommendations. I haven't really thought too hard about this, but I'm sure other people, they're probably in chat right now telling everyone, oh, you should do this, or don't even try it. So,
they're talking about singing instruments. Hey, Lawrence, for my mom's 80th birthday, we did those vases. Now, granted, it was pretty thick wall. I mean, it was a pretty thick wall, not a 3D printed wall, but like the wall itself of the vase. And we filled them with water, and they haven't leaked yet. My mom's still
really,
yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I've been much more of a single wall vase guy, so that's probably where my first mistake in adding more walls.
Yeah,
all right, here we go. Here we go. We have some people chiming in now.
Oh yeah, Tech Jeeper. He's a smart guy. You should listen to him. He's neat.
So, okay.
Yeah, there was one time I printed a vase in vase mode, and I didn't do it that thick. I just needed something decorative, and then my wife, without even telling me, she saw it. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to use this," and she filled it with water, and it was leaking everywhere. And she comes to me, she's like, and I saw her. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's not going to work." And she's like, "Okay, I was going to say."
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an opportunity to learn and discover a new way of doing things, just like everything else. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, we didn't talk about your house, or we didn't really show like your cute little houses and your lighthouses.
Oh, yeah.
Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that one was the first in the series, and that was actually motivated by Big Jano. Last year he was doing his gingerbread factory, and I was like, oh, maybe I want to do a gingerbread house. That's not a gingerbread house. I don't know if you could tell. But as I was designing, I was like, this is not turning out to be a gingerbread house, but it's cute. So I continued to work on it. And I designed it to fit one of those Bamboo Lab lamp kits. And there are other kits out there that are the exact same dimensions that aren't sold by Bamboo Lab that you can use. But as I was working on it, I thought, oh, that's good. I kept thinking, yeah, that looks good. It's about ready to print. But then I kept thinking, it needs a little extra. And then that's when I would put the shingles on, and like, that looks good, but maybe a little extra. And that's when I put like the texture on the decks. And then eventually I added like the lattice things on under the decks.
I love my grandma's house used to have that lattice work. So I love that.
Yeah. And so for this, it was just like, it seemed like every step of the way when I felt like it was starting to get finished, I kept thinking, it needs this, it needs this added, it needs that added. And you'd be surprised at how much a model stands out just by adding a little bit of texture or a little bit of, some realism to it. And it just really stands out. Because if you could look at this and just think of the walls just being straight and not looking like logs or just not having shingles, it just looks a lot more plain and less appealing. And so that I really enjoyed doing that one, and that one took off. And that's when I thought, oh, maybe I'll design more. So that's when the lighthouse came out. And then I have a cute or a cozy cottage. and I have this a big house that it's actually quite large. Several of the pieces max out the X1 carbon build plate.
Wow.
And so I have a few of those out now, so it's pretty fun.
Those are well, that, you know, when you're talking about the process of adding a little bit here or making it more distinctive, that's really one of the big strengths of digital design and fabrication. Oh,
Yep.
Yeah,
I
and I
like
like
that lighthouse.
also that you're showing love to people who don't have the material changers, and so they can still
I try to
it.
make it so you don't necessarily need multi-color systems. Some of them do require it, but you know, not everyone does. Not everyone has the budget for one. So for all the houses, I try to make sure that at least they have a pause functionality. Because for the windows, you know, you print part of the way up, you pause it, you switch the filament out for a different color, you resume print. And so that's how you get different colors for the doors. Like the doors, like on that cottage, the door is purple, but the doorway is pink. That's all one print. And that's not using a multicolor printer. So you transition from the white to black to purple to pink. And that's all one print. You can even see kind of on the outside of the door, it kind of shows through that it's purple there. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
All one print, you said.
Yep. So you just print all the individual pieces and you assemble it using glue. I'm hoping in the future I'll get good enough to where I can have people assemble it and have things click together without supports and without glue and just have it work. But I haven't quite gotten there yet.
Bamboo has a slicer where you can add rods and embed rods now.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
But you're talking about something more advanced than that.
Yeah, so I was thinking similar to the kit kiln. I don't know if anyone knows who the kit kiln is, that he makes those chunkables that look a lot like, you know, either a Spider-Man or whatever, but for copyright reasons, he can't call it a Spider-Man. He calls it like a spider chunk or something like that. I don't even know if he has a Spider-Man out, but all his models, no AMS, no supports, no glue. And the way he just has the clearances set and how people assemble them, he does a great job of that. And maybe eventually I'll get to that point with, you know, the stuff that I make, but I haven't quite got there. I have a lot of fear that people are going to be using a printer that doesn't have great tolerances and they're not going to have a great time assembling it. So I usually give a generous clearance to the stuff I design. So it usually requires glue. But yeah, that's the kit kiln. Most of his stuff does not require multicolor printers. You know, there are some things it does, but most of the stuff can be printed in pieces and then you just assemble it.
Wow.
So Fix'em Dude mentioned in chat that you're building quite a library with all of your models. And I was curious, how often are you uploading a model and making it available for people, roughly?
It really depends. Sometimes I feel burned out, so I don't upload a lot, but then sometimes I'll do like 5 in a week. Usually it's simpler ones, like the vase. Like when I was uploading these vases and bowls and stuff, I was designing like one of them a day because I was just using tricks in Fusion to do it pretty quickly. But more complicated ones like the buildings that I designed, like the New York style brownstone, that one took like a week or two to finish uploading and prototyping. Not uploading, designing and prototyping before I uploaded it. So it depends on what motivates me. And I think we were talking about this earlier, that just sometimes that I'd not narrowed in on any one niche where I'm only designing one type of thing. Yes. I get bored and I find interest over here and then I find interest over here. And maybe that's not so good for my fan base because some people follow me because of this other thing. And if I stop designing that, they're just not going to want to be there anymore. And so I don't know. I feel like by keeping things too broad, you get fewer followers. Anyway, I'm not too worried about it because I do it for as a hobby. I'm not doing it as a business to get more followers. I'm doing it because I like it and I want to contribute to. Yeah.
Awesome. And
do you have any kind of upload goals? Like this year, I want to upload X things, or you just kind of keep it free flowing?
Yeah, I just go with the flow. I don't have any goals. Like I want to upload 200 models this year. That would stress me out too much, and I would probably give up. But I did make a goal. Yet it wasn't a New Year's resolution, but I started streaming because I wanted to, one, show people my modeling process, but two, I found it keeps me more on track to design stuff, because sometimes I get too relaxed or I just don't want to do it, and then I don't upload things for a while, and then people just forget about me, and I don't want to be forgotten. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll never forget your beauty.
But thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
But I started streaming so that people could, so not only so people could see, but to keep me going. So, I got to show something to someone. What am I going to design? Oh, let's start designing this. And so that's how I can be more consistent with uploads. And even if it's designing a thing for 5 streams in a row, that's better than just not designing at all. So
almost like accountability.
Yeah. Like accountability. I don't want to let people down.
Well, I'm sure your fans appreciate that. That's for sure.
And segue, you certainly haven't let us down on
Definitely not.
this episode with all of the ample information that you've shared tonight.
Yes, yeah, I really appreciate.
I'm glad
your knowledge and I think the very, very unique and creative things that you're doing with Flexies and your coin. You got me. I'm thinking about how can I get to Colorado now. See that
yeah, it's gonna be big. Yeah, I can't remember how many people were at the event last year, but I think it was
5,000 for sure, right?
Yeah, it is above 5,000. I'm quite certain people showed up. So.
The little video, and I think it was something like 5,300. It's in there. It's in the video.
Yeah, that's right. I remember. Yeah, you're right. So it's probably going to be even bigger this year. Let's go.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to see me there, there's going to be a giant one of these. And by giant, I mean this is cut into fourths, and each fourth maxes out my build plate on my Prusa XL. So
nice.
Just think of the 350 millimeter build volume, double that, and that's how big it's going to be.
Oh, okay.
So,
something to look forward to for sure.
Yeah. So you'll be able to see it there.
Wonderful. All right, looking forward to it.
Is Dummy 13 going again? It could be a little.
Yes. Yep. He is actually staying in my truck at the moment because I don't have space from anywhere else. He stays in the passenger seat. He's buckled in. He actually has a tie on because I left a tie in my truck one day and I never brought it in. So I was like, hey, why doesn't he wear it? So I put it on him. And it's funny.
HOV lanes.
Yeah, definitely. No, but I actually work on base on an Air Force base, and so we have to go through a gate. And several times on several occasions, they're like, "Oh, does he have an ID or what's his name?" Or he's definitely a conversation starter. I'm sure people see him all the time as I'm driving. They'll look over and they'll double take. So it's kind of fun.
And
that is fun.
Just for scale, oops, well, I'm mucking that up, but that's Hedamame headphones on him.
Yeah, that's Hedamame headphones. So he's about as tall as I am.
That's amazing.
It's funny. I was setting him outside to take more pictures. I was setting him in a lawn chair just as one of my neighbors was pulling in their driveway, and immediately after they park, they get out and they're like, "What is that?" A Rocky Mountain logo to the floppy beard.
Yeah,
I don't know. That'd be cool. But I do need to print another floppy beard. I broke mine. I have a floppy beard, so anyone can be a bearded printer. Just print a floppy beard, and it comes with hooks. So you just tie string to the hooks, and you can wrap it around. And the dummy was actually wearing the beard for 3D Printopia.
Mm-hmm. It's a good look.
I can never shave because it's now my brand.
It is definitely your brand.
Oh no.
Good excuse for it.
There you go. There's the floppy beard.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
So now everyone can be a bearded printer.
with all the floating parts. Like trying to figure out the.
Oh yeah, just getting rid of all the floaty parts. Yeah, that was kind of a pain with this one. It took quite a bit of effort, but yeah, I think it works.
It looks fun and interesting. That's for sure. Wow. Okay. And so, one other question. Now, you've got multiple printers. You got a Prusa, you've got a X1, and you've got an H2. Are there any printers that you're paying attention to now that are on the horizon, or you think you're good for where you're at right now?
Yeah, actually, so I got a Core 1 as well, and I want to get the index system to install on the Core 1. I have quite a few printers. If I'm going to get any other printers, it's going to be with new technology, and mostly because I just want to see what it's like. I pre-ordered the Cobra X, and so that'll be coming in sometime at the end of the month or beginning of next month. Who knows? I just wanted to try it out, and we'll see how that goes. The Snapmaker U1 is looking like a really good printer. So if there's any printer that I buy in the future with my own money, it's going to be that one. I'm trying not to flex, but the only printer I bought outright was my Elegant Neptune 4 Pro, and every printer afterward I was able to buy with gift cards and stuff. So it's pretty nice. I really appreciate the support I get from the community to be able to do that. This printer right here, the Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon, was the second printer, was the first printer I was able to get using gift cards, and it totally changed everything for me. So I appreciate all of you out there for the support so that I can continue doing this. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, the community appreciates what you're putting out there, and that's for sure. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Vicky, you're muted.
You muted.
I did. I was burping when you were talking, so I muted.
Okay, you could burp in my ear. I won't mind. I burp in my kids' ears all the time. I'm sure I have it coming.
It's a compliment.
All right. Well, oh my gosh. Thank you for being so generous with your time. Is there any other little topics or anything else you want to hit on other than like have people come see you at Rocky Mount?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything else that I wanted to hit on, but yeah, come see me at Rocky Mountain. And if you want pictures with me, don't be afraid to ask, or, I'll be bringing my giant pens as well. I've got this one here. So
let me make you.
I got a functional giant pen here.
Nice.
The spring is 3D printed. Everything is 3D printed. So all you need is a pen similar to these things. You just need the same kind of pen. So I'll be having this there. I'll be having these there. So I can sign things.
All right.
It's a delight.
Absolutely. Something to look forward to.
All right. And then everybody. So thank you for everyone who's been watching and commenting, and that it was a big pun night. So that was quite fun to watch. So as Lawrence mentioned at the beginning of the show, we stream on Tuesdays that are prime numbers, like 3. And our next prime number is going to be February 17th. And we're going to be joined by Prime Tower Designs. And so we'll hope to catch you there, either live or on the replay. And until then, stay safe, stay warm. Don't get the mega cough that I got. And get your tickets to Rocky Mountain Rip Rap Festival and sign up to be a volunteer.
Absolutely.
Anybody else? Any final words? All right. Well, good night, everybody.
Just keep doing the things and accomplishing the stuff. Bye.
Yes. Bye.
Bye-bye.